Philippines and Israel, as the two unlost tribes, both of them are from the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, put forth a riddle, and speak a parable to the house of Israel, and say, Thus saith the Lord God. A great eagle with great wings, long-winged, full of feathers which had various colors, came to Lebanon and took away the highest branch of the cedar. He cropped off the top of its young twigs and carried it into a land of merchants. He set it in a city of dealers. He took also some of the seed of the land, and planted it in a fruitful field. He placed it by great waters and set it as a willow tree. It grew and became a spreading vine of low stature, whose branches turned toward him, and its roots were under it. So it became a vine, and brought forth branches, and shot forth sprigs. There was also another great eagle with great wings and many feathers. And this vine bent its roots toward him and shot forth its branches toward him, that he might water it by the bed where it was planted. It was planted in a good soil by many waters, that it might bring forth branches, and that it might bear fruit, that it might be a splendid vine. Thus says the Lord God, will it thrive? Will he not pull up its roots and cut off its fruit, so that it withers, so that all its spring leaves wither? It will not take a great power or many people to pull it from its roots. Though it has been planted, will it prosper? Shall it not utterly wither when the east wind hits it? It shall wither in the furrows where it grew. The parable of two eagles and the vine is interpreted in Ezekiel 17:12-24, whose fulfillment in prophecy took place on two occasions. First during the days of both ancient Israel and ancient Babylon. The second one took place during the days of both spiritual Israel and modern Babylon. We begin with the first one. Number 1. The first eagle and the second eagle, during the days of both ancient Israel and ancient Babylon. The first eagle during the days of ancient Israel symbolized ancient Babylon. Beforehand, the judgment on Jerusalem. Total destruction of the first temple of Jerusalem, known as the Temple of Solomon in 586 BC. Took place during the reign of King Zedekiah, the last 44th typical king of Judah. It was the treachery of Zedekiah, Ezekiel 17:15-21, that leads to the downfall of ancient Israel, in captivity under King Nebuchadnezzar of ancient Babylon, symbolized by the first eagle. King Zedekiah's treachery, by breaking his covenant with King Nebuchadnezzar when he compromised with Egypt, he had planned to shake off the yoke of the king of Babylon, and violated the oath he had sworn to King Nebuchadnezzar, Ezekiel 17:12-18. That displeased God, Ezekiel 17:16-21. Which lead to the downfall of the northern kingdom of ancient Israel, and the tribe of Judah located in the south, were spared but lies in captivity. Will soon be restored by the Messiah, during his twice coronation, as anti-typical king of both Judah and Israel. As a result of Zedekiah's treachery, the Temple of Solomon, first temple of Jerusalem, was completely destroyed during his reign under Babylonian captivity. As a result, there has been no king who ruled in Israel until today, that put record in history why Zedekiah was the last 44th typical king of Judah. By the time when the second temple of Jerusalem was built, as replacement of the first temple, until the time of Christ's earthly ministry during his first advent, the Jews were expecting a Messiah to be their new powerful king to sit on David's throne to deliver them from bondage under Roman yoke. And after Christ's death and resurrection in 31 AD, the second temple of Jerusalem was then burned and completely razed to the ground by the Roman legion under Titus in 70 AD. Unaware to many Jewish people, the promise in Ezekiel 17:22-24 to raise again the royal family of Judah from captivity was fulfilled half of it. When the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the seed who is Christ, Galatians 3:16, was crowned in the heavenly kingdom that took place during Pentecost, that was 10 days after his ascension in 31 AD, year of Christ's crucifixion. As the 45th anti-typical king of Judah, next to the last 44th typical king of Judah, Zedekiah. So when Christ received a crown of thorns, from the hands of the wicked who tortured him, before they crucified him in 31 AD, that same year he received the golden crown in heaven, as the 45th anti-typical king of Judah. In Ezekiel 17:22-24, it is God himself who extracted from the vine the young twig that was planted in the mountain of the height of Israel that grew and bare fruit. This symbolized the unlost tribe of Judah. That was planted in Israel by God himself, whose seed is Christ, Galatians 3:16, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, Revelation 5:5. That is why only through Christ, as the seed, can we become heirs, according to the promise to Abraham. Galatians 3:29, and if you are Christ's, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to the promise. The second eagle during the days of ancient Israel symbolized ancient Egypt. Aside from the fact that when the last typical king of Judah, Zedekiah, despised the oath he made with King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon and plotted to overturn him, he conspired with the king of Egypt about joining forces against the king of Babylon. Ancient Egypt was also the place where Jacob, the ancestor of the 12 tribes of Israel, started living for 46 years, after Joseph, his 11th son, became governor of Egypt. It took 430 years, Exodus 12:40-41, from the start of physical Israel when Jacob's name was changed to Israel, Genesis 35:9-10. Until the deliverance of the Israelites out of Egypt, that was led by Moses during Exodus. See fixed year locations through historicism on chart in the background. That is why ancient Egypt is symbolized by the second eagle, also became the habitation of ancient Israelites, from the time when Jacob started living in Egypt, which took place for almost 11 generations before the Israelites' departure from Egypt. The branch extracted from atop the cedar tree by the first eagle. And he planted it to a fertile land near the waters, that grew into a vine, Ezekiel 17:1-6. The second eagle came next, and do the same, Ezekiel 17:7-10. Now the branches plucked out from atop the cedar tree, that was planted separately, by the two eagles, which sprouted and grew into a vine, symbolized the 10 lost tribes of ancient Israel that were scattered in different lands, after the Babylonian captivity, when the first temple of Jerusalem, Temple of Solomon, was completely destroyed in 586 BC. The downfall of the northern kingdom of ancient Israel. 10 lost tribes. This 10 lost tribes from the northern kingdom of ancient Israel, plus the 2 unlost tribes from the southern kingdom, Judah and Benjamin, that both survived during the 3 consecutive siege under Babylonian captivity, as explained through the following. The first overthrow of Jerusalem, under Babylonian siege, was in 608 BC, when Jehoiakim was the king of Judah. During this period, Daniel and his 3 friends together with many Israelites were captured and were taken to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. The Jews were exiled to Babylon through 70 years under Babylonian captivity, Jeremiah 25:11, Jeremiah 29:10. The second overthrow was during the time of Jehoiakim, son of Jehoiakim, when all the sacred vessels were either taken or destroyed. The third overthrow was under King Zedekiah, when the city endured a formidable siege. The king attempted to escape from the city, but they were captured by the Chaldeans. The sons of the king were slain before his face. His eyes were put out, and he was taken to Babylon and died there. The city and temple of Solomon were at this time utterly destroyed, and the remaining entire population of the country were carried captives to Babylon in 586 BC. Later, upon the defeat of the Babylonian Empire when King Belshazzar, the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar, fell under Cyrus from the east, head of the Medo-Persian Empire, in 539 BC. In 538 BC, Emperor Cyrus reversed his predecessor's policy and called upon the Jews to return to Jerusalem. Thousands returned to Jerusalem under the leadership of Ezra, and construction of the new Temple of Jerusalem, as the Second Temple, began in 457 BC at the start of 2,300 prophetic days period in Daniel 8:14. Nehemiah, the newly appointed governor, rebuilt the city walls in 52 days. Nehemiah 6:15. Through the course of time, the 10 lost tribes began to divide between the 2 eagles. So from here, we will now proceed to what transpired towards the end of 2,300 prophetic days Daniel 8:14, that arrived during the days of spiritual Israel and modern Babylon, when the 10 lost tribes of Israel continue to divide between the 2 eagles. The parable of 2 eagles and the vine is interpreted in Ezekiel 17:12-24, whose fulfillment in prophecy took place on 2 occasions. First, during the days of both ancient Israel and ancient Babylon, that we have already previewed in the first half of this video. The second one took place during the days of both spiritual Israel and modern Babylon. We now proceed to the second one. The first eagle during the days of spiritual Israel symbolized the United States of America, as the modern Babylon. Beforehand we have the following. 538 BC, when ancient Israel was freed from captivity, which meant religious freedom after 70 years. 538 AD, the start of 1,260 years of papal supremacy that ended 1798 AD, when the New World or America was rising into power that same year. So what have we noticed? Have we noticed that both of them bear witness in figure the same 538 marking that took place in history? The first one, 538 BC, marked the start of religious freedom among the ancient Israelites after 70 years of captivity. While the second one, 538 AD, marked the suppression of religious freedom when the Bible was forbidden from laity, during Inquisition, covering the 1,260 years of papal supremacy, during the days of spiritual Israel. And at the end of this 1,260 years period, would reach 1798 AD, when the New World, America, symbolized by the first eagle during the days of spiritual Israel, was rising into power that same year, and has now grown as the most powerful nation on earth today in terms of military strength, as the modern Babylon. Since 1798, the Book of Daniel has been unsealed, according to the Spirit of Prophecy, The Great Controversy, page 356, paragraph 2. 1798 AD was also the same year when the Rothschild banking family of England was founded. The question is, was it just coincidence that same year 1798, when the Rothschild banking was founded? Or the Rothschild family would play a role during the American Civil War, when the entire country was on the brink of collapse because of the Civil War? But before we continue with the Rothschild, first we need to know why the 10 lost tribes of Israel are scattered among these nations occupied by USA, as symbolized by the first eagle during the days of spiritual Israel. And also the United Kingdom, as symbolized by the second eagle during the days of spiritual Israel. How many nations among the Commonwealth of Nations, from the 10 lost tribes of Israel, are scattered among these nations? We have 56 official members of the Commonwealth of Nations as of today. The second eagle, symbolizing the United Kingdom, surpassed the first eagle, symbolizing the United States of America in the total number of states occupied by the 10 lost tribes. That is 56 nations under UK, and 50 states under USA. By combining this two, we have 56 plus 50, equals 106 nations occupied by the 10 lost tribes. And how about the 2 unlost tribes, as the tribes of Judah and Benjamin? Where can we find them? To sum up in figure the 12 tribes of Israel. What 2 nations on earth, which are not official member nations of both USA and the UK, can we find the 2 unlost tribes? These 2 nations refer to the modern Israel of today, and the Philippines. Both of them belong to the combined tribes of Judah and Benjamin. The Philippines, from where the glory of the genuine Revelation 18:1 from the east arise. Located at the tipmost part of the continent of Australasia, from where the light of the present truth will radiate into many lands. The Philippines, see chart in the background, will become the sanctuary of exiles from USA, bared on eagle's wings. By the time when the second beast, USA, will give life unto the image of the beast, Revelation 13:12-17, during the time of Jacob's trouble, Revelation 11:1-2. Last World War II, the Philippines also saved many Jews during Holocaust. So by adding these 2 nations to other 106 nations, we have a total of 108 global nations occupied entirely by the 12 tribes of Israel. How then will the sanctuary map prove to us the accuracy and figure of this 108 global nations comprising the 12 tribes of Israel? By applying the oracles of God as testified by Peter in 1 Peter 4:11, in the preaching of the gospel. Through this process we have drawn on sanctuary map, see chart in the background, the exact location of this 108 global nations comprising the 12 tribes of Israel, represented by this 108 marking, that is fixedly located, which lies in between both ends of the sanctuary. Between the western end of the sanctuary map, and the eastern end of the sanctuary map. Going back to the topic on the Rothschild banking family of London, England. That was founded 1798 AD, at the same year when the New World, America, was rising into power at the end of 1,260 years of papal supremacy, also in 1798 AD. Watch full video, continuation of this video, on YouTube entitled, Deep State, Decoded from the Parable of 2 Eagles and a Vine.